hold on. Yep, we're live on Facebook.
Okay, so we are live, and everybody may have seen something on their screen. We're on Facebook Live. We're being recorded, and so this will be saved. You can share this with your Camino Pilgrim friends. And Steve, welcome to our first annual holiday Zoom. If you'll let us have a second one next year, I think that it's going pretty well so far. Steve,
When I go
tell
to
us.
participants,
We would
shows
ask you
me
also to please
it's on the
mute
phone
yourself because we can hear
all these
anybody
others
that is
are on
talking.
mic.
Or
I don't know
Dave,
why.
if okay, so we are set to get started, Steve, with asking you what is going to be happening in 2022 for the American Pilgrims and your plans as chairman of the board of directors.
Well, let me start by thanking you, Tom. The morning session was incredible. It made me want to book my ticket to Spain right away. Tom and the membership team has been working really hard to put this together. And one of the things that's going to be happening going forward is continuing to have monthly gatherings like this one. Last month, we heard from people who had been recipients of some of our grants. The month before that, we heard a report from some of our partners in Spain. So Tom's the key mover behind that, and I really want to thank you. Dave said that the future is in good hands for next year, and that's because of the wonderful job that he has done leading us in building a good solid foundation. Dave has served for 3 years now as the chair of American Pilgrims, and I'm really great. We're all grateful to you, Dave, for what you've done and continue to do. He's going to be chairing the gathering that's coming up in March. For those of you who just joined us or just became part of the live stream, our next gathering is going to be back at Black Mountain, North Carolina, March 31st through April 3rd. So Dave's chairing that. In terms of what lies ahead for next year, it's our mission that really guides what we do. And our mission is to support the enduring tradition of the Camino. Thanks to Sandy and George and all those founding parents who laid that mission for us and has served us very well. 3 aspects to that. One is supporting the infrastructure of the Camino. Thanks to your membership fees, your donations, we've been able to be very generous to Donativo albergues in Spain, Portugal, and France along on numerous Camino paths. We've supported renovations of albergues, improving the waymarking on the trails, signage. Last year, we gave around $50,000 worth of grants. The other thing is our Hospitalero training. We're talking a little bit about that before we went live. A number of you on this call have participated as Hospitaleros. We've trained around 300 people to be Hospitaleros using the basic curriculum that the Spanish federations used. They came over and they taught us how to do it. And we're so glad that that's going to be resuming in March, just prior to the gathering. And we've got some others planned throughout the year. So I'll watch the website for that. And then probably the most visible thing that we do in the United States is we're the only organization that's been authorized by the cathedral in Santiago to issue credentials. And we charge nothing for them. We give them away, for free. And in 2019, we issued over 7,000 credentials. Obviously, it's been down because of COVID, but those numbers are tracking back up. The other aspect of our mission is gathering pilgrims together, like we're doing tonight, like the gathering that we've been talking about. If you haven't been to a gathering, it's kind of a Woodstock for peregrinos, and it's really fun. Hope to see you there. And then we have around 60 local chapters. 6 years ago, when Carmen Marriott, who's rotating off of our board because she's term limited out, when she started, there were like 13 chapters. And from that living room in Williamsburg to where we are now, And the way that the national organization supports those chapters is, well, one very basic way is we have an insurance policy that so that their activities are insured. We provide resources for the chapter coordinators. We have a wonderful chapter coach team that's always on call there, and they have regular gatherings for the chapter coordinators to share ideas and resources and talk through issues and things. And then the third aspect of our mission, in addition to supporting the infrastructure of the Camino, gathering pilgrims together, is informing past, present, future pilgrims. One way we do that is through our online magazine, La Concha, which continues to get better with each issue. It's a great forum for people to share their reflections, their poetry, their photography, for book reviews, a great source for news. Our website, which is chock full of information, we have a dedicated team that keeps that up and running. And then our Facebook community, which has over 20,000 members of it. And it's moderated by an incredible team, which is led by Yusmar, who's going to be speaking in a minute, who makes sure that the conversation keeps on target and is done in the spirit of the Camino. So if you got problems with Facebook, which a lot of us do, they're not there on that site. It's a great source of information and conversation. Some particular goals for 2022, in addition to the ones with our mission that we've been carrying on. Like I said, we want to continue to build on these monthly national gatherings where we can hear from wonderful Camino celebrities like we're doing tonight. We really want to take better advantage of our talented membership. It's just incredibly humbling to me how talented and dedicated the membership of American Pilgrims is. And we're looking for more and more opportunities to provide people ways to give back to the Camino in addition to your donations and your membership fees. Take better advantage of our tech tools to communicate, to be in touch with each other. We use a fraction of what's available and what we can. We've got a tech team that Dave's helping lead that up, and we want to become even more tech savvy as we go ahead. Financially, we're in great shape, really grateful to you for making that possible. We want to continue to be good stewards of our financial resources. So the vision that we have is that to inspire all who seek the spirit of the Camino to connect with the global community of pilgrims, and want to thank all of you for being part of that global community and for joining together to reach out and make sure that this wonderful transformative experience that we've had is something that sort of spreads like yeast through our country and the whole world. So
that's awesome. You covered all the points. Yes. Inspiring all those that seek the spirit of the Camino to connect with the global community of pilgrims. And that's a great example of this evening. And it's an opportunity for the American Pilgrims to thank you, the generous members that have supported with their membership and donations throughout this year. Without your help, we couldn't have done it. In the past several years, over $500,000 has been given to needy nonprofit projects that have applied for grants to help them sustain the pilgrims as they come through their different villages and towns and so forth. So thank you very much for your support of the American Pilgrims. Steve, maybe you could also tell us a little bit about, you just returned from Spain not too long ago, and you met with several Camino officials there in Spain.
Yes, well, Ruben Mendoza, who is just finishing a term as secretary of the board, and he's going to be chairing our external relations committee next year. He and I went to a meeting in Fromista, which many of you have been to, of all the municipal associations along the Camino Frances, and we got to meet, and it was for people from representing associations from all over the world. And we got to meet with some of the leaders of the local communities, the regional entities in Spain, and he learned just how important the pilgrim community is to the people who live along the route. One of the wonderful definitions of our hospitaleros that is on our website is that if the Camino is a stream, then the hospitaleros are the rocks in the stream. And we got to meet with some of these other rocks who are the people who live along the way and support it. And so that was really fun. And then I did a couple of Caminos and got to spend some time in Santiago and got to meet some of the wonderful people whom actually we've got to meet tonight. Some of them, John Brierly, Ivar, whom many of you know and follow his blog. But one of the most fulfilling things was the opportunity to get to meet with the Dean of the Cathedral in Santiago, who was so appreciative of American pilgrims and what we do. And he just radiated, I think, the spirit of the Camino. He was kind of channeling George Grenia, whose wonderful quote I love is that today's tourist is tomorrow's pilgrim. And the Dean of the Cathedral really kind of has that attitude that we're here, we're open, we welcome all people into the places along the church and the churches along the way. And he said that the Camino is like the image in the book of Revelation of Jesus standing at the door and knocking, and whoever hears, he comes in and eats with them. He says the Camino is like the door, knocking on the door. When you see the beautiful scenery and the hospitality and the life changes that are going on, it's just an invitation to walk into a transformative experience. So I was really grateful for the opportunity to spend some time with him. And
Steve, I think we lost you there temporarily. Okay, well, what we're going to do now, Steve, as you maybe become unfrozen, it seems like many are cold tonight and few are frozen, including Steve there. We're going to go to our next speaker. Tonight's lineup for speakers, we're going to start off here now with Annie O'Neill from California. Then we go over to the other coast and to Miami, and streaming in Yosmar Martinez, who's going to talk about gourmet Camino food, and then George Grenia, who's going to treat us to some awesome information about medieval pilgrimages and so forth and his background. So Dave, if you can find in the group there our Annie O'Neill, and as you're finding Annie O'Neill, I'll do a little bit of an introduction here. For
Annie, are
those
you there?
Speak up, Annie, if you're there.
See her on the list of participants.
She should have the link and should be ready to go. We'll see if she shows up. I do know that Annie was doing a pilgrimage in place Zoom, and she said she would be going until just about 7 o'clock. And so she would be making a fast going from one Zoom to the next Zoom. So we'll ask one more time, Annie, if you're there, speak up, and Dave can put you on the screen. If not, then we're going to go to...
continue living in this nightmare scenario.
I'm sorry, if you could repeat that, I couldn't make that out.
I'd say, Tom, let's probably, you want to step on to the next presenter?
Yes. So let's go to Yosmar Martinez. And I believe Yosmar is there, right, Dave?
I
Yes.
am.
All right. So Yosmar, is it going to be okay if we go with you just a little bit early here?
Sure. Actually, it
Oh.
works out fine for me.
Excellent. Okay. So Yosmar, if you would take it away, you are the author of The Tastes of the Camino. And I should let everybody know that we used your cookbook, your recipes, and we shared that with the chefs at St. Mary's College in South Bend, Indiana this past summer. And we had 9 delicious meals that they made from your recipes, and it was really awesome. And so,
And I saw the picture, and it looked like he did a really good job.
oh, I got to say, the food was better than the pictures even. So you did a great job with the recipes, and take it away and tell us about what people can experience as far as if they wanted to maybe make some things at home to remind them of the Camino for the holidays.
Okay. Well, I actually made a little list of what the holidays are in Spain. So if you should spend the holidays in Spain, what you could expect in a traditional Spanish holiday or Spanish home for the holidays. So one thing you need to understand. Oh, and by the way, I'm having a little bit of orujo here, so serve yourself some wine. It's going to make this conversation so much better. So it is the holiday season after all. So something to understand, the holiday season in Spain, there are a lot of similarities to what we experience here in the US, but there are a lot of differences. And I want to say that anywhere in the world, the holidays are incredibly celebratory season. But in Spain, it seems like they take it up a notch. And it's a never-ending, it's a celebration with a never-ending abundance that seamlessly makes days become night. And it's all about being around loved ones and eating a lot. So with that, we're going to talk about food. And then the holiday season, the holidays are a little bit longer there than they are here in the US, for instance, because they really start at Christmas, but they don't end in New Year's. They go on to January 6th, Epiphany Day. And each of those holidays has a lot of similarities, but some differences. Christmas Eve, some families celebrate Christmas Eve with a big sumptuous meal that could have tapas and entremeses. Entremeses are basically what we would here call a charcuterie board, jamón, chorizo, sobrasada, a lot of cured meats. Then there's always a soup. There's regional varieties. If you're in Catalonia, a very typical soup over the holidays is called sopa de gallet. And basically it's a soup that at first glance, it's a broth with shell-shaped pasta, large shell-shaped pasta. But that broth is the broth that is left over from making a meat stew. So the meat is often served aside along the soup. And it's a little bit like a cocido, and they separate out the meat from the broth, and then they prepare the soup with the pasta shells. And that's called sopa de gallet, G-A-L-E-T-S. And that's very from Catalonia. Other regions will serve a soup. Then come the main courses, and there's usually one seafood course and one roasted meat course. Typical seafood courses are dorada al horno, that's baked sea bream or baked mahi-mahi, and salt cod. Salt cod is a huge tradition in the Iberian Peninsula. And what salt cod is basically cod that has been preserved in salt. And so you have to desalt it before you prepare it. And the desalting process can take anywhere between 24 hours to 36 hours. But it's a traditional fish in the Iberian Peninsula, because in the days of no refrigeration, that was by preserving it in salt, you could travel with that fish. You can take it on long voyages. And if you didn't have refrigeration, it would stay well until you desalted it and then you cook it. And there's so many ways of preparing salt cod. My favorite way is bacalao ajuarero, which is basically, it's desalted, it's poached in olive oil, and then cooked with bell peppers and tomatoes and onions and eggs, beaten eggs. So it has a velvety texture when you eat it. And then one thing that Spain is so known for in its holidays are the sweets. For a country that doesn't have a pastry tradition like France or Italy does, when the holidays come around, it's all about the sweets. So it's common to have polvorones and mantecados. Those are two types of shortbread cookies. The difference between polvorones is that they include almonds, and the mantecados are more traditional shortbread. Those are more of a southern specialty, but it's eaten all over the country. And then the other one are the turrones. The turrones are the nougats that are usually made with honey, almonds, and egg whites. They originated in the region of Alicante, also in southern Spain, but they're used in, they're consumed all over the country any time of the year, but during the holidays, it's a big thing. And there are so many variations of turrones. If you're in Madrid near Plaza Mayor, there's a very famous store called Vicens, that's Vicens, and that's like a turron sanctuary or haven. It's a lovely store with so many different varieties, and I would highly recommend anyone that's interested in learning more about the different types of turrones to check out that store if you're in Madrid. This is a common meal, Christmas Eve. Some people do it both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Other people that respect midnight mass. Midnight mass is a big thing in Europe, for the most part, not just Spain. They'll leave the big meal to the 25th. That's another thing. If you are ever in Spain during Christmas Eve, I would encourage you to attend midnight mass, even if you're not Catholic. It's a beautiful experience. I would highly recommend that. So the meals for Christmas, they tend to be similar. Then comes December 31st. And that's like in any part of the world, is more party mode. I'm getting some feedback. I think some mic is not muted. So it's more of a party mode. There's a lot of drinking. And the big, I think, tradition there is to eat 12 green grapes for each stroke of the clock at midnight. And it seems really easy to just pop 12 grapes in your mouth, but it's actually not that easy. I've done it in Barcelona. And it's like, by the sixth one, you're like, can I take another grape this quickly? But it's supposed to represent good luck, prosperity, if you're able to eat all 12 during the 12 strikes of the clock. The year that I spent New Year's Eve in Barcelona, you go around, if you go to where they're having fireworks, which was Plaza de España that year, or every year they have it there, but I went to Plaza. You'll find street vendors selling the grapes in a cup, and just totally sanitary fashion. The cup has saran wrap or like a sealed plastic on top, and you just peel that off, and there you're popping your grapes, and usually with some champagne. Or cava, not champagne, cava. Cava is the sparkling wine of Spain. And then January 1st, what do people eat there? Well, let's just separate that in two camps. The early hours of January 1st, where you're kind of hungover if you've been partying, and then during the day. The early hours, I would say the two things that I hear the most are churros with hot chocolate. I mean, I think we can all agree that fried dough and chocolate are a great way to calm your stomach when you're drunk. And then the other dish that is very famous is, which is kind of curious because it's not a dish that Spaniards tend to eat for breakfast, is huevos rotos, which translates to broken eggs. And basically it's 2 fried eggs over French fries or roasted potatoes and jamón serrano. So it has a lot of substance and also helps calm down the liquor intake, let's put it that way. And then during the day, if you're having a family luncheon, lentil soup. Why lentil soups? Lentils in many parts of the world, Spain included, are considered a sign of prosperity. And they are, if you eat lentils the first day of the year, you're supposed to have good luck. And so lentil soup has become a very common dish for New Year's Day. And then always a meat like braised pork cheeks, carrillada de Ibérico is very, very popular. And then we get to January 6th, Dia de los Reyes, which translates to the Day of the Three Kings, which is essentially Epiphany. In Spain, it's traditionally the day where kids open gifts because the three kings have arrived with their gifts. And nowadays, in many households, you'll have gift giving both the 25th and the 6th. But traditionally, it's always been the 6th. And it's because of that connection to the Three Kings Day. And the big food that people buy for their home is called the Roscón de Reyes, or the Three Kings cake. And basically it's a sweet yeast bread dough that is formed into a large ring, has the look of a donut, but much bigger. And it's baked, not fried. And then once it's baked, it comes out of the oven, they slice it in half and they fill it with usually whipped cream, sometimes pastry cream, but the most popular filling is whipped cream. They put the top back on and then they cover the top with crystallized fruit, sometimes almonds, and dust it with powdered sugar. And usually inside the dough, there's a hidden fava bean or a hidden tiny little baby Jesus. And it kind of creates a competition among those that are consuming it. And there's two different theories. Some people say whoever gets the baby Jesus is going to be the lucky one this next year. Whoever gets the fava beans has to pay for the Three Kings cakes the next year, or has to bring it to the party. So, no one wants the fava bean, everyone wants baby Jesus. So that's kind of the history there in terms of food. And of course, in addition to food, there's always copious amounts of wine, of cava, which is the sparkling wine that's made mostly in Catalonia. And of course, my favorite, some orujo de hierbas. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I can answer questions. I think I have time, right?
Right. We've got about 3 minutes left. I just have a question for you. So there is no red and green sparkly Torta Santiago?
No.
No. Okay. And
I've never seen it. There could be, but I've never seen it.
is that a good way to start a New Year's diet with the churros and the chocolate? Will that work?
I think New Year's diet doesn't start January 1st. It usually starts like January 2nd, January 3rd. So yes, it does it okay for me.
And you don't get a hangover drinking Orojo, right?
Oh yeah, I do. If I drink too much, I'll get a hangover, but I'm not going to
Okay.
much tonight. I mean, I may, who knows, I have a holiday party to go to from here. So
It looks like Tom Friesen has a question.
go for it.
Yes, Mark, can you talk about torrijas?
Torrijas. So torrijas are, and that's a great question because it is a festive food, but it's not for Christmas and New Year's, or it's not for this holiday season. It's for Easter. It's a big Easter food. And what torrijas are basically kind of a French toast, but they're not as cinnamony as French toast, but they're really, really yummy. But yes, that's consumed during Easter, the Easter season. Right, Tom?
As far as I'm concerned, yep.
Okay.
It's French toast, but it's a little more impregnated with the milk and the egg. But you're right.
It's fluffier. It's not as
Condensed.
flat, fluffier.
Gosh, you guys are making me hungry here at 7:18 Eastern time. Do we have got one more time for one more question? Anyone?
I'm reading, what did George Greenia say here? Orujo is
Distilled hooch.
hooch, flavor with herbs. Smart's favorite, coffee, pear, or leftover clear. Exactly. And there's the cream one that's kind of similar to Bailey's.
Right. And Tom, I think Tom Friesen used that this morning, right? Is that right, to keep your throat in good shape?
It was so I held a Celtic lilt to my voice.
Right. And you definitely achieved that. Yosmar, you are very much appreciated by the American Pilgrims on the Camino. You were a very dedicated, hardworking member of the board of directors for the American Pilgrims for quite a while, and also the years that you have spent with your dedication to the American Pilgrims Facebook page as the main moderator for many of those years. You've really helped the American Pilgrims. Thank you so very much from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. Okay. Dave, I do know that I've been in communication with Annie O'Neill, our next guest, and it
Tom,
is
Tom, Annie's on here and we're ready to go to her, I think.
thank you again very much, Yosmar, for all of your help. Have fun. And Annie is next, and while we're switching over to Annie, and George will be on in 20 minutes. Annie, as you know, and you've corrected me, the director producer of Phil's Camino. You came up with the whole idea of doing an awesome, inspiring Camino on Phil. You also were inspirational in your part of the walking the Camino 6 Ways to Santiago. And you were so fantastic coming to South Bend for the celebration this past summer. Really, really enjoyed you coming there and spending time with all of the American Pilgrims in South Bend. Annie, welcome to our annual Zoom holiday session, an open house.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we should all just give Yosmar a round of applause. I think our mouths are watering. So
Yeah.
that was
There you
great.
go. So now, Annie, you just got off of a Zoom. You were doing several Zooms today, as we've been doing Zooms. But I guess we're all doing this for one passion, our passion for the Camino, and
Yes.
so we're all in this together, and that's what I really love about your passion for the Caminos, is that it is all about the mission of the Camino and life transformational journey and so forth. What can you tell us about your experiences on the Camino?
Well, let's see. I mean, some of my experiences were very well documented by Lydia Smith in her amazing film, Walking the Camino 6 Ways to Santiago. Lydia is not just a brilliant director, she is a pilgrim. And there's many, many wonderful films about the Camino, but she had walked the Camino the year before she made her film. So she came to it with a pilgrim's heart and a pilgrim's perspective. And I think that it shows. And I feel very, very lucky to have been part of that. So a lot of what I went through is right up there. For better or worse. And then because of that, there was a gentleman in Seattle who saw Walking the Camino 6 Ways to Santiago. His name was Phil. And after he saw it, he wrote me on Facebook, and he told me about what he called his deal. He was living on Vashon Island, and he had created his own Camino that went around the perimeter of his property. It was 0.88 kilometers, the trail that he made. And he was walking it he was very dedicated to walking it. When he wrote me, he said he had stage 4 cancer, but so he had taken this on as part of his healing. And his was just a remarkable story. And he wrote me, and he invited me to come walk with him. And about less than 2 weeks later, I was walking his backyard Camino with him. And I had the thought, somebody should make a film about this guy, because this is really amazing what he's doing. And that was back in 2014. And we struck up a friendship, and we were emailing each other. And I kept saying, Phil, I just think I could make a good little film about you. And he would just think that was the funniest thing. He's like, what film? I'm walking in the mud. I'm just a guy who's walking in the mud. But I think that we don't see our own greatness. We can see other people's greatness. And if we're lucky in life, we are with people who reflect back, no, that really is great what you just did, or what you're doing is important. And so just kept on going, no, Phil, I think there's something here. And finally, he couldn't take my nagging anymore. And he agreed to be filmed. And I made a 28-minute version of the film. I made a 28-minute short documentary called Phil's Camino. Here it is. And, it just became its own Camino. And it took me all over the place, meeting pilgrims all over the place. And, I just love pilgrims. I really, really love pilgrims. And I look around at the many, many people you have here, and I can say, like, I've been to George's house. I ate dinner at George's house, and I've traveled with Ronnie, and I can pick out people. And I met a lot of people at the South Bend gathering that you had, Tom, which was wonderful.
Well, I have to say that you really do live what you just were saying about encouraging other people, because I remember that Sunday morning on the Feast of St. James, you went walking with us and you encouraged me. And I took that very, very seriously. And so you really do live what you're talking about. And
that's a
I find is
perfect
amazing.
example. That's a perfect example of surrounding yourself with people who will reflect like your greatness. You had a great idea when for everybody else, he was leading a walk. It was such a magnificent weekend because every morning you didn't just have one walk, you had your choice of walks. And I think you even named them after different caminos. There was the Norte and there was the Primitivo. And I ended up on your walk on Sunday morning, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful place, and it was a beautiful group of pilgrims. And then you mentioned to me, like, I really wanted to bring people up here and ask them to just walk in silence when we enter this part. Everybody, pilgrims were like, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, Tom, do it. That would be great. And that was a really wonderful part of that walk. And I dare say anybody here who was on that walk that day, you probably remember the part where we walked in silence, because that was a really profound suggestion that you had. And it was great. And it really changed the whole walk. Even though the walk was already wonderful, it gave it another dimension. So we do have to be that for each other. We have to be there for each other, because that's how life is on the Camino, right? We're there for each other. You can't carry your pack one day, I'll help you. I can't carry my pack one day, you'll help me. Many people run out of cash and someone says, here's 20 euros, pay me when you see me in the next village. And that happens. And we take care of each other. People say, has anybody seen Andrej? I haven't seen him in 2 days. And somebody go, oh yeah, I saw Andrej. He was great. He's, going to stay at such and such a place tonight. So that's what we are. We're pilgrims. I do think it's our responsibility to come back to our communities and be pilgrims in South Bend or in Virginia or in California or Ohio or wherever you are. That is your responsibility to bring the Camino there.
There are almost 60 chapters of the American Pilgrims, and some of the chapters will call up Lydia and ask permission to show the documentary. I remember calling you and asking for permission. In fact, when I called you, we were on the phone for about an hour talking that evening. And,
can you imagine me talking for an hour?
it was great. But it was all Camino, It was
That's
all
like
Camino.
calling George. George, I have a quick question for you about medieval churches. Come on.
Yeah. And so though I getting permission to show both of the documentaries, I've seen people see them in our local chapter here in South Bend. And after seeing them, they said, okay, now I think I can really do this and I know how to do it. And it's not just like packing and so forth, but it's having the frame of mind and how to do it. So you've inspired people to go off and do the Camino. And I think I shared with you back this summer that we've had 2 people that had stage 4 cancer that watched Phil's Camino. And they says, yes, now I can do this. One person says, now I can go back on the Camino and I feel I can do this. And you've inspired them. And so what's your next thing you're going to do with inspiring the Camino?
Well, it's funny because anyone who's seen Phil's Camino, and I have no idea if people here have seen the film or not. I know George has, you have, some other people have, but oh, thank you, Melinda. Oh, Melinda, hi.
And it's won film festival awards too.
Yes.
You
yes.
went around the country.
Yes. And, when people say like, oh, what's your film about? I'll say, well, it's about a man who has stage 4 cancer. And right there they go, oh. But it is not a sad film. You could ask Melinda or George, or you. It's not a sad film. It's a very inspiring film. So here comes, get ready. You're going to want to go, ooh. But my next film is about the AIDS crisis. Ooh. But it's a very inspiring film. It's a very inspiring film. It's really about one man. That's the thing with Phil also. My film isn't about stage 4 cancer. It's about one guy, Phil, and what he did when he got that diagnosis and how he ended up being so grateful. He considered 3 C's were the blessings of his life: the Camino, working his way back to Catholicism, which became very, very important to him, and cancer. He considered cancer a blessing of his life. So my film that I'm working on now is about Jim Gaynor, who's a poet and who has lived through 3 pandemics. And it's a really remarkable, again, a short documentary about hope and inspiration and getting through and thriving and helping one another. So it's, I'm making these films about, subjects that may make people wince, but it's ultimately how we get through. So it's a good thing. It's a happy thing. Maybe
So-
not happy, inspiring.
So I had the privilege this morning of asking John Brierley this question. I thought this would be a good question for you. What was the life transformational thing that you got from the Camino? Easy question, right?
Yeah. And again, you have 3 minutes.
No, actually we have 8.
Okay, 8. Well, this is one that we need to walk and talk. We need to all go on a walk together to talk about this.
We've done that.
And I also think I don't have the final answer yet. This is something that continues to be revealed as I grow and change, as you grow and change, as and what we can hear of one another. But I think one of the biggest things was, and again, I'm very lucky because Lydia made a beautiful film, and it was not reality TV. She was a pilgrim who knew that we had to have our Caminos. So there was not a camera with me all the time. I was just another pilgrim with other pilgrims 90% of the time. And then just once or twice a week, I would meet up with her and she would do some filming and ask some questions. But it was either right before or at Cruz de Ferro. So I remember that I left in that rock the desire to please anyone other than myself. And that's a very freeing thing to do. And in my, I have this Facebook group called Pilgrimage in Place, and we talk about all sorts of pilgrimage things and Camino things. And we just finished reading Bibi Barami's book, Cafe Oc. And she talks about that. The idea of being seen gives you a confidence that ends up transforming your life. Because when you're on the Camino, I went 40 days without anyone saying, what do you do for a living? Where do you live? And, those are straightforward questions, but I think in some of the layers of those questions is, where do I put her on, the socioeconomic level? a class level or something. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. It's just a human thing. You know, you have perhaps, you know, when hearing that someone's a plumber might come in and land in a different place than when someone comes in and says they are, you know, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or I don't know how many of them walk a Camino, a lawyer, let's say, I don't know. But, you know, a professor, you know, someone with a title. And I think that it's just a human thing that we do, so that if you free yourself up from that for 40 days or however long you have, 5 days, 14 days, and people respond to you as you, it can change you. It can make you feel more seen, more witnessed. Okay, then people are witnessing you and responding to you. And it's a powerful thing to do. And I think, like I said, I think we all have that charge now to go. And when you look at the people, you know, George Grenia greets everyone like a long lost friend. So he is living that Camino in Virginia. And I'm sure his students feel it, or now his, I don't know, golf partners. You're retired now, right? No? Oh, okay. So his students feel it and people respond to it. So that's what we're charged with. We're charged with greeting everyone like a long lost friend, greeting everybody like that hospitalero that meant so much to you, greeting everyone like they greeted you. That's our job as pilgrims. That's what we're meant to do. We're not meant necessarily to bring back the scallop shell from the shores at Finisterre anymore, but we're meant to bring the Camino home, and not just the tales, not even just the films. And you know, not everybody's going to make a film. It's kind of nutty. And not everybody's going to teach classes and bring students with them, like Mary Jane Dunn or Annie Hess. You know, but we can all be a hospitalero for everyone in our community. We can all greet people like they're our long lost friends. Why not? Why not? Look how much it meant to you on the Camino. Imagine being able to give someone else that feeling. That's a huge gift, that it's in our power every day to give that gift. So I think that it's important. You know, we're charged with that. That is a important thing that we need to bring home. And I think sometimes we get caught up. I get caught up and forget. So that's one of the beauties of American Pilgrims on the Camino, all of our little, you know, chapters and the national organization as a whole. It's good that we remind ourselves of that. And you know, that's what we do on Pilgrimage in Place. We remind ourselves that the Camino hasn't ended. There's no Camino blues. We're still serving one another. We're still looking at our neighborhoods like, I never saw that building before, like the way I'm seeing it now. Like someone designed that building. And yes, it's not Gothic, which takes your breath away, but look, they put the lintels on there and there's a design to it. And I can appreciate the beauty that is surrounding me now. And I think it's important.
Yeah, and Annie, we can do that with people in our lives too. Appreciate the beauty of the people that we see every day, and actually look at them with new eyes.
Absolutely. And you know, I always call out David Cook. I don't know if he's on here now, but he's in Indianapolis, and he's a hospitalero. Like that's who he is. When he finds out there's a pilgrim coming to Indianapolis, he greets them. He tells them when the gatherings are for his chapter of American Pilgrims, and he, you know, he shares. And you know, Gene did that. Gene McCulloch. I went to the museum where he was the docent, and he brought me and he showed me, and you know, he talked about the woolly mammoths, and you know, that's what we have to do with each other, because you know, we know that we're pilgrims, but we have to do it with the homeless guy that we have maybe learned to step over, and we have to do it with the person who is checking us out at the supermarket. We have to do it with the people that we run across at the gas station or that we're waiting in line behind or in front of. it's important. It's important that we keep the Camino alive in our lives.
That's very true. And very
And everybody
wise.
does it a different way. You know, Yosmar writes cookbooks. I couldn't write a cookbook, but I can make her recipes. And, you know, I can't teach a class, but I can go to George's gatherings every year, the symposiums, and I can't paint, but I can appreciate those of the pilgrims that are probably here right now who paint. And, you know, we have to find our gifts. Maybe some of you haven't found your gift yet, or maybe you have. You know, just keep doing it, because I want to enjoy your paintings or your needlepoint or your, you know, the way you organize your kitchen. You know, like there's art everywhere and there's kindness everywhere.
You know,
And we get to do it.
again, you're not probably able to watch all of the chats that are going on during your talk.
Oh,
But Donna just happened to say that you greeted her with great joy, just like you were talking about, and she felt that special joy from you as you greeted Donna.
Donna Looney? Is
Yes,
Donna Looney here?
yeah, and
Oh.
so once again, it illustrates, Annie, that you're not just talking the story, you're walking the walk, and that's what all pilgrims do, is walk the walk, right? And I think that we have probably 246 pilgrims here that really walk the walk. And
Yeah.
we appreciate you giving of your time and yourself to the Zoom here today. And
I'm
you
so
can come-
happy to. And I'm really, technology is not my thing. So I can't even send you to a website. But if you have any questions, philscamino@gmail.com. That's easy, right? You can send me an email. Let's chat more. Let's, you know, just I'm so honored to be here amongst all of you, not just George and Tom and Yosmar, but every single one of you. You know, Donna, and I think, aren't Bob and Ann here? Bob and Liz? I think they're here.
Yep, there's 246 of us here today.
Ah.
So thank you.
Bob
We are
and Liz
honored.
got me drunk in South Bend.
So we hope to do another one of those celebrations in South Bend in the future.
They're
We-
so wonderful. That was so beautiful.
But the next gathering is in Black Mountain, and it's in North Carolina, and it's March 31st. And
I hear it's beautiful there.
it is beautiful there. It is beautiful. So we're going back to that. We're honored to have you here today, Annie.
Thank you.
And now we're going to take a step back in time, Annie, if you indulge us, with introducing George Grenia. He's our next speaker up. And George has his PhD in medieval studies. He is a professor emeritus from William and Mary. And there you are. And what a cathedral. Or okay, you tell us about this beautiful building that you have in the background there, George.
Well, actually, we should save it for audience participation quiz. Anybody who can name this by the end of the my 20 minutes, I'll send them a prize or something. That'd be great. See if you recognize this setting. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a permanent grudge against Tom for inviting me to the worst slot of my career, after Yosmar and Annie and before Dan Mullins. It's frightening. No one will want to listen to me when there's so many other riches around us. It's just fabulous. Thank you, Yosmar. Thank you, Annie. And we're looking forward to Dan. Annie talked about the 3 C's for Phil, which was the Camino and his return to Catholicism, and cancer as a gift. I recently counseled a student about remembering as a public speaker the 3 B's, and that's be honest, be memorable, be gone. So I'll see if I can say something worthwhile in just 20 minutes. I'm a professional medievalist. That's how I often get introduced and called on. And it's a dangerous thing for audiences, because I have the primary requirement for a professional medievalist And that's a high threshold of boredom. And I don't know if everyone else has one. So what I'd really like to do with my few minutes now is convince everybody who's been a pilgrim or who plans on being a pilgrim on the Camino de Santiago to know your unique place in the world. It's easy to talk ourselves into the thought that, you know, Camino is Camino community. It's a pocket interest. It's a niche spirituality. It's something that we're in love with, but okay, the relatives aren't going to get it. Lots of my friends and colleagues don't get it. It's okay. It's my thing. It's a small thing, but it's my thing, and we're fond of it. Can I convince you that it's not just a small thing? The Camino de Santiago, especially in the last 20 years, has become the prestige model for international pilgrimage. It's a fabulous experiment that's become an international success story. Every other country on the planet practically has looked at the Camino de Santiago with admiration and even envy. It's not just a cash cow. It invites a better class of tourists. It favors the interior rather than big cities, museums, beaches. It helps support mom and pop operations rather than corporate chains. We spend less day by day, but we're there longer. And we have this multiplying effect. We love the Camino and bring others back. So for a lot of us, it's not a one-off experience. It's really soul enriching. It's nourishing, the way Yosmar shows us how to be enriching. And it's soul improving, the way Annie has talked about. And it echoes past your own personal contacts and national borders, as Dan Mullins has proved with all of his interviews, his performances, his international reach. So when I travel to Serbia, to Israel, to Canada, to Ireland and England, to Spain, to Germany, to France, to Italy, to Mexico, everyone wants to hear about the Camino de Santiago because they have noticed that it's an international phenomenon of strength, of beauty, of enrichment, of promotion and exporting of a national culture. It's not just foreigners gawking. This is really a Spanish thing that you can participate and savor its authenticity. It's sure medieval, but it's also beautifully modern. And if there's any, I mean, you can point to lots of contrast between, say, a medieval pilgrimage and modern pilgrimage, but I am here to tell you as a professional medievalist that it is the safest pilgrimage that it's ever been. It's the most welcoming. It's ignited a culture of hospitality that never existed in the same way in the Middle Ages. It's become the most accessible pilgrimage, far more so in the Middle Ages. It's become an international laboratory for all the arts and sciences as people go on the Camino and learn things and use it to teach others how to observe, learn, savor, promote, care for, nurture, curate an experience for others. So, gosh, the Camino de Santiago is not just our little pocket interest. This is more than the NASCAR community. It's more than a Harley Davidson rally. And I've got nothing against Sturgis. I've been there, not riding a big motorcycle, but as a visitor. The Camino de Santiago is really part of the patrimony of humanity itself. And we are among the people who sustain that patrimony for not just a nation and not just for our community and not just for people of faith, but for everyone on the planet. You have all become, as Annie says, hospitaleros by vocation, if not profession. You may only be an hospitalero for a season, but we carry that spirit of welcome with us wherever we go, in a professional setting, in a family setting, in a private setting among friends. We are the hospitaleros of our lives. We are curating a Camino experience for everyone that we meet. So I am frankly so grateful to be among these over 200 people gathered tonight online who have a focus, have a wisdom, have a dedication, have a vocation to bring the Camino spirit to more people than ever on our planet, and in many ways heal a wounded planet, heal a wounded society. And I even mean that ecologically. We try to be the cleanest of all tourists, the smallest carbon footprint, the most gentle on the land, the most respectful of culture, community, food. We savor what we experience. And I think that's a great model for all forms of intentional travel. That's probably enough to get going on. Tom, what questions and what would you like to talk about?
Well, what kind of advice do you have, knowing all that you know about the medieval pilgrimage and where it started, how it's progressed and transformed over the years, how it's transformed you and your fellow pilgrims? What advice do you have for us this evening?
Well, I've been doing the Camino de Santiago for about 25 years now, since the first time I went on the Camino. And when people ask me, why do you keep going back? I tell them, at this stage in life especially, I've got two choices: either stop sinning or keep walking. So I keep walking. But more seriously, I go back for the stories. I go back for the stories that I hear from Yosmar and Rebecca Scott and Annie O'Neill and Tom and Dave and Donna and Steve and so many of the friends that I've made through the Camino de Santiago. It's their stories that enrich my life. Medieval folks did that too. But actually the stories that we bring back, and this is true for the Middle Ages and now, of the gifts that you bring back, of the rewards that you bring back, are grace and wisdom and experience, but it's stories. In the Middle Ages, people brought back stories too, especially in a information-starved age where you had to rely on oral reports. People who had made a trip and brought back tales of their adventures were giving gifts to their communities, broadening their worlds, expanding their horizons, telling them about a planet that they would never see, societies that they would never visit, conversations that they would never have in person. And frankly, that's the humanities, that we read because we can never know enough people. So reading allows us to meet more people constantly. You can meet those people on the Camino. And for those who told me 25 years ago, gosh, the Camino's dead, it's gone, it's nowhere what it was in the beginning. It's polluted. It's the massification, the crowds, the throngs, the people were there just to gawk. Not true. Yes, there are more people out there. Yes, some of them are just observers. But if I can modify something that I've been quoted on before, it's not just that today's tourist is tomorrow's pilgrim. Today's tourist is today's pilgrim. Treat them as a sacred traveler. And often they'll step into the role. They've been waiting for someone to invite them, to take them seriously. And I think that's a great gift to give, to take someone who thinks they're only there as an observer and invite them in. Oh, one of my students, Becky, was 4 days on the Camino. She comes bounding up to me and she says, Professor,
and those type of
Professor Green, yet? No. He says, no, it's got to be George. It's always George on the Camino, because gosh, we're all equal on the Camino. Doesn't matter whether you're high prestige or low prestige, young or old. She says, I had this most amazing conversation with somebody who was like, gosh, 40. It was funny because this 40-year-old saw this 18-year-old and asked her, on no other credential than that backpack, why are you on a pilgrimage? Do you believe that it will bring you closer to God? Does it deepen your spirituality? And someone suddenly took Becky seriously as an 18-year-old about spiritual questions. And she scrambled up for an answer. And I think she was enriched by that effort to offer an honest answer to someone who looked to her as perhaps a spiritual guide. That's one of the gifts of the Camino, that suddenly we are taken seriously in a new way. And that gift to give back, to give to yourself, actually, to take yourself seriously. I have some spiritual wisdom to offer. In the Middle Ages, it was presumed that everybody was sort of on the same page with in a Christian perspective. Well, pilgrimage has never been a good vehicle for indoctrination. What happens among a walking troop of pilgrims in the Middle Ages and today is that through conversation, people find themselves in a consensus spirituality. What do you believe? I believe this. I think this brings me closer to God, or at least gives me clarity. And I think transcendence is out there and is available if we reach out, especially if we reach out to others. So the times I've been most blessed on the Camino is when others have blessed me with their stories, with their revelations, with their sorrows, with their doubts, with their skepticism. That's a blessing too. To believe is to doubt everything, and to center yourself on what, yes, I do believe, after all. So medieval studies is a great place to sort of get some contrast, figure out what's the same and what's different. And now everybody's looking across the world. Everyone is looking to Spain and the Camino de Santiago. So be ambassadors, everybody, not just for the Camino de Santiago, but for world pilgrimage. Pilgrimages that are happening in Estonia and Slovenia and Malta and Spain and all over the world. I think our gift to the world has been given to us by the Camino, and we can share it with others.
You know, George, that's profound. That is just awesome and inspiring. Something that your talk right now and hearing from Josmar and Annie, you know, we were saying earlier, it's like walking the walk. It's not just talking the talk. It seems like pilgrims and you three here this evening have shown that it's not just talking the talk. It is walking the walk. Josmar, I remember meeting with you in Barcelona and having tapas at a tapas restaurant, and you bringing homemade food to our board meetings that we had. I remember you having us try different things at the gatherings. And I know that you serve up delicious conversation and engagement every day on the Facebook page for the American Pilgrims. I know that Annie talked about walking the walk of encouraging people and so forth. And on the chat session, people were saying, yeah, Annie encouraged me to do this. Annie encouraged me to do that. And everybody talking about the encouragement. And you talking about gifts. George, well, you did bring me a little Botafumeiro in South Bend when you came back from the Camino. But more importantly is I know that the invitation of you coming to South Bend for the celebration, you were planning to spend the feast day of St. James on the Camino, probably in Santiago. And you cut that short, I believe, to come to South Bend to talk to the American pilgrims at the celebration. That was a gift. The talks that you gave there were a gift. The talks you give here today, your life is a gift. And this is so inspiring this evening. Somebody help me here. I mean, this is really just, it chokes me up to think.
You're verklempt. That's what you are. You're verklempt.
Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you. See, you're sharing again and encouraging. I think you're encouraging.
When we talk about the Camino.
I think you're encouraging.
I think George needs to tell us the background of the chat is heated.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Okay, I was just getting to that. I don't know how many recognize the space, but it's San Zoilo in Carrión de los Condes. San Zoilo in Carrión de los Condes. And if you got that, well, send me an email and I'll send you a present. I don't know.
Do we have a winner?
How many people got it right?
Bibi Barami and Susan Thomas and Kurt Cogner said that. Yeah, I think those were the two that said that.
Very well done. Very well done.
Martin Pinario, George.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Yosmar. Thank you, Annie, for letting me share time in your presence. You guys are so great. I just admire you so much.
Well, Professor, we give you an A for your sharing here today. We give an A to Yosmar and an A to Annie. And we thank you very much. It's just heartwarming. I think we all have a big takeaway. We feel like we've been on the Camino here, sharing these stories and these inspirations from all three of you this evening. We do have another inspiring person waiting all the way from Australia. In fact, we're going to go into the future because Dan Mullins is online. He is standing by in Sydney, Australia, where it's 12 noon. It's the afternoon on Sunday. Is that correct, Dan?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, it's Sunday. It's so great to see you all. So great to hear your voices and hear what's wonderful stories. My gosh. Yes, it is. I hope, can you hear me okay? Is the sound okay, Tom?
Just a little bit of an echo, but if you're going for the echo, it's maybe a good thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think I am going for the echo. Maybe I'll get rid of that. How about that? How about that now?
That's much better. Much better.
Yeah,
Good.
okay, cool. I'll just turn
Good.
the monitoring down a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, listen,
Dan.
it's Sunday. Yeah. And I can tell you, no matter where you are in the world, tomorrow's a beautiful day. Tomorrow's going to be fantastic.
This is great, Dan.
It's so great. It's so great to be with you, Tom. I can't begin to tell you. I've been excited about this all week, and I've got some instruments here to have some fun with. So let's just have some fun. It's so great, so great. I love the American Pilgrims on the Camino, and wow, it's the first time I ever saw snow falling out of the sky was with you guys, right? And actually, Tom Labazinski is the first guy who ever to hit me with a snowball. So it holds a very, very special place in my heart. A kid from the country in a little country town in Australia, to be there with you guys.
Prepared for that.
It was just so great. Yeah. First time I sang Kumbaya was with you guys, right?
We sang Kumbaya, and we have now a larger group on this Zoom than you talked to for the gathering. There are 234 people that are right now on this Zoom that are joining us this evening. And I do want to send appreciation to you, Dan, because I do know that last evening you had a special tribute concert, if I understand correctly.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we've been doing lots of shows, and it's been fantastic. Yeah. So it's always busy. I have a show this afternoon. In 3 hours time, I've got a show at a club down the street, so it'll be packed out. It'll be fantastic. So I'm still doing gigs. Yeah.
And having fun.
I'm still having fun and doing gigs. Yeah. And what's not to love when you've got things like this?
Yeah. Oh. And are you going to be able to join us in North Carolina come the end of March?
Oh gosh, I'd so love to. Carolina?
No, yes, North Carolina.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Because you know what? I was going to tell you, that's amazing. I didn't know that. That's the next conference, is it?
Yes.
Well, listen, I'll tell you something. Then that is just the most incredible story, because I did not know that. This is a true story. And I was going to tell you all about how when I was a boy, my big brothers used to put a record on. So it was 6 boys. I'm one of 11 children. There were 6 boys in the room, 2 sets of double bunks and 2 single beds. And my big brothers would put a new record on. And I remember hearing this song, and I thought I'll play you a song, right? That my vision of America as a boy was this incredible place, and I remember hearing this song, and I went to school with a girl named Carolina, and I thought the song was about a girl. And then it wasn't until much later I realized, no, it's a song about a place. And you've just said Carolina. I have here right now, I've got a list of songs to play for you today, and this is one of them. Listen to this. This is a little guitar I carried on my back across the Camino. And instead of getting the stamps in a Compostela, I got the stamps on the guitar. But they've all faded now. You can't really see them. You can see some of them, but not many other. And it's in terrible disrepair now, the guitar. But I was gonna, can I sing a song, Tom?
Go for it.
Okay, this is the song again. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? And ain't it just like a friend of mine hit me from behind? And now I'm going to Carolina in my mind. Karen, she's a silver sun. You best walk her away, watch her shine. Watch her wash the morning come. Silver tear appear, and now I'm crying. Ain't I gone to Carolina in my mind? Ain't no doubt in no one's mind, love's the finest thing around. Whisper something soft and kind. Hey, baby, the sky's on fire and I'm dying. Ain't I gone to Carolina in my mind? In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? And ain't it just like a friend of mine hit me from behind? And I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Dark inside, late last night, I think I might have heard the highway calling. Geese in flight and dogs that bite. The signs that might be omens say I'm going. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. With a holy host of others standing around me now. Still I'm on the dark side of the moon. And it seems like it goes on like this forever. You must forgive me if I'm up and gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? And it's just like a friend of mine put me from behind. And I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Gone to Carolina in my mind. Gone, I'm gone. Say nice things about me when I'm gone. Gone to Carolina in my mind. I did not know that we were going to be talking about Carolina. I just wrote some songs to play for y'all, and that was one of them. Isn't that so great, Tom?
That's awesome. So now you're going to have to sing that when you come to Carolina in March.
Yeah. Boy, I could do that. When George said, we're bigger than the NASCAR community, I'm a huge NASCAR fan. Don't go there. It's a long story, but and I think the Carolina is where NASCAR is based, isn't it? I think it's there somewhere.
It is, yeah. Well, it's definitely all over that area for sure.
Yeah, how fantastic.
Yeah, and one thing that the people that are listening and watching the Zoom right here tonight, and we're still over 222 people that are doing that.
Wow.
they also are so believing in the Camino. They may not know about, and we, I don't think it's self-promotion because I'm bringing it up about you. You do a very inspirational weekly podcast about the Camino. Can you tell us just a moment about that, please?
Yeah. So I've been working in media, in particular radio, for 20 something years. I don't know. I was the producer of the #1 radio show in Australia for 17 years. And the chief executive of that media company went out on his own and started a podcast company 6 years ago, I think 5.5 years ago. And he came to me and he said, you're one of the best in the business. Give me some ideas for podcasts. And I was saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I just returned from my first Camino in 2016. I walked into Santiago de Compostela on my 50th birthday. And I walked from Sahun and did exactly half of the Camino Frances. So I said to him, oh, and by the way, I'd love to do a podcast about the Camino. And he said, oh, why not? You should do it. So I went home and I thought, who will I speak to? Who can I interview? And the very first one I did was really just me talking about my Camino and how I had the stages I'd walked and where I stayed and what I did and stuff. And I told the story about how after about 3 or 4 days, I was driving myself insane with so much space and time to think. And, I got a pretty wild mind, like I was driving myself crazy. So I decided I would think dedicate each day to a 5-year period of my life and think of only those 5 years. Think of where I was, where I worked, who I lived with, who I hurt, who I loved. And then at the end of the day, I would say goodbye to those 5 years. And by the time I got to Santiago, I had been through all 50 years. And I was able to just say, I've lived it and now it's done and I can get on with the rest of my life. And it was the most extraordinary experience to be able to do that. And so I started this podcast when I got home. It's called My Camino, the podcast. And I've done now 253 interviews with pilgrims from all around the world, people from Korea and Chile and Brazil and Australia and New Zealand and America and Canada and whatever. And it's people telling their stories and me saying to them, why did you do this? What were you hoping to get out of it? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about other people? What is there in it for me? Why would I do it? If I'm listening and I'm thinking of doing it, why would I do it? And so really it's about exploring people's motivation. And often I think my guests are surprised that they've had the opportunity to voice their experience, to actually say it out loud. Because when we get home, you've been through this incredible thing, this incredible journey, this incredible experience, and you've been talking to people, you've sat in a cafe and spoken to someone from wherever who's opened their heart and their soul to you, and you think, gosh, this doesn't happen at home. And then next thing you're at home in the supermarket and you're thinking, I need to share this. I need to talk to somebody about it. I need to get it off my chest. And you can't really, can you? Your family says, oh no, here he goes again, talking about the Camino. But maybe that's what you need to do. You need to talk about it. You need to share it. Like George was saying just before, it's a community that cares. And there are not many communities that care. And it's a community that listens. And it's a community that believes. And it's a community that doesn't care what you believe or who you are or what you do or where you're from or what you're going home to. None of it matters. All that matters is that you're warm enough and kind enough just to be there, just to listen to people. And more importantly, to hear them. And when I speak to people, and as I say, 250 interviews, people are surprised at their own capacity to be that person. And it's so wonderful to be able to present that person to them. And it's every week. And I've been doing it for 5 years, I think now, or something. It takes, I don't know, it takes me 3 or 4 hours a week, an hour to write the script, an hour to do the interview, and a couple of hours to edit it. I never, ever, ever get tired of it. I never say, oh gosh, I've got an interview this afternoon. I go, yeah, I've got an interview this afternoon. It's like, you know, it's great. It's great, Tom. Yeah. If I could put it into one word, it's a gift. It really is. For me. So if everybody else gets something out of it, well, that's just a bonus. Yeah.
Well, you're our gift, it seems like, this evening, all the way from Australia and coming from the future back to Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so great. You know, I think one, I was listening to some songs last night, and I was thinking, oh, what will I play for everyone today? And this song came on to my play, you know, like my Spotify, whatever, just, you know, Dan's list or whatever. Can I play this fit? I think this is a great Camino song. Camino pilgrims should be playing this and singing this, I reckon. Listen to this, because I just love it. I love it. I'm gonna play a song. God bless Paul Simon, man. Slow down, you move too fast. Got to make the morning last. Kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun, feeling groovy. Hello, lamppost, what you knowing? Got to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do, feeling groovy. Ooh, I got no deeds to do and no promises to keep. Dapper and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time petals on me. Life, I love you. All is groovy. La 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 la. Ba ba ba. So here's a challenge for you. I want you all, how many are 250 people watching or whatever? Everyone has to use the word groovy in a sentence this week, right? If you're at the supermarket, say to the checkout girl, groovy. It's the best word ever. Groovy, feeling groovy. What do you think, Tom?
I think it's groovy. Awesome.
That is so great. That is so great.
You know,
now look, I gotta
go ahead.
Yeah, go on, Tom. Go on.
Well, I just was going to ask you one real quick question before the next song, so it could be a real short answer. But you were with us in Tahoe almost 2 years ago now, at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was just going to ask you your observation of the American Pilgrims and what it meant to you to gather with us at that time, and what you see as the value of the American Pilgrims to you coming as a guest from Australia.
Okay, that's a really easy question to answer, because the very first thing I felt was a genuine warmth and a genuine welcome. And on the Saturday night, I played some songs, standing on the stage. We all sang and danced, and we had a bit of a yahoo. And someone fell ill afterward while we were standing around having a glass of wine afterwards. And the ambulance came in and spirited the guy away, and he was okay in the end, as it was, which was blessing in itself. And then I remember David saying, everybody gather around and we'll say a prayer. And I remember being in that circle of people, just being absolutely swept up by this energy, this warmth of welcome and again of care. So lovely to be part of an organization or a collective that cares. And it really moved me. I've not forgotten it. I've not forgotten it, and I never will. So I congratulate you all really on your intention and dedication. That's the word I was looking for. Your dedication to continuing to care. And I know that the organization does a lot of good things and cares for a lot of people and gives a lot of support and encouragement to people. And I just think it's wonderful. I really do. And as long as there are good people like the American Pilgrims on the Camino in the world, it gives me hope. It gives me hope, Tom.
Do you have a song that will transition right from what you're just talking about?
Well, I do. And we were in Lake Tahoe, and I went down to the water's edge with Brian Danker and Carl Stickelmeyer. And Carl had come all the way out from Pennsylvania to meet me. And Brian had driven me all the way from Redwood City. And here I was with these two, and they were both Vietnam veterans and didn't know each other, and they had no idea. And I was standing on the water's edge in Tahoe, and I could see the snow, this rain, or I don't know what you call it, a weather event coming over the hill. And I was thinking, wow, it's a pretty spectacular place, this. And I could hear in the background these two old guys talking. They're not old guys, but two guys talking. So yeah, you're a Vietnam veteran too. And I was thinking, wow, fancy having friends in America. It's just so great, And I met Amy that day, and Sarah and Yosma, and then I now talk to people, and I never ever possibly could have imagined that I'd have friends in America. That's like out of this world for me, being a boy from the country in Australia, a little country town. That's the wildest thought ever. I remember watching Evel Knievel jump over Snake River, and Captain Adam and stuff, like just amazing. So I got a new album coming out next year, and one of the songs is this is one of the songs on that album. Here we go. This. Learn how to change a penny to a quarter at a fairground Saturday night. Hair rising up on the back of his neck in Deer Creek, Chesapeake. San Francisco, 1989, it's Loma Prieta. Ditko and Lee's Captain Adam, Evil jumping over Snake River. I got a friend in America, he's a proud, God-fearing man. I got a friend in America, he's got a friend in me. Giving thanks as Tahoe snow falls, girls with chickens and poems. Another so tall she could kiss the sky, flew to fuel my heart. I got a friend in America, she's a proud, God-fearing girl. I got a friend in America, she's got a friend in me. Mountain laurel by the side of the road, and twister coming over the ridge. Remember the sound and fear praying as the bridge moved together. I friend in America. He's a proud, God-fearing man. I got a friend in America. He's got a friend in me. I got a friend in America. She's a proud, God-fearing girl. I got a friend in America. She's got a friend in me. We've got friends indeed. We've got friends indeed. Yeah, Tom.
Are we one of the first to be able to hear this Dan Mullins original song?
Yes, yes. I've not played it before. So there you are. You're the first to hear it. I did send it to Carl and to Brian to say, hey, you guys, I got something for you. And they were like, oh my gosh, and now when Carl writes me all the time, he signs off your friend in America. It's so cool.
Oh, now we all will. Now we all will. And so you just made this the American premiere of this song.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You made history here. That's awesome.
Now, I've got something really, really special for you, okay? So for you, right? So I host this weekly podcast, and I've interviewed so many people from all around the world. It's just so fabulous, and I absolutely love it. And in week 83, something like that, I spoke to Bernie Bonar from San Francisco. And at the end of every interview, I say, thanks very much for that. You're fantastic. Would you mind sending me a picture of you so I can put it on the label of the podcast? And Bernie sent me a picture, and he was playing a little ukulele. And I said, hey, thanks for the picture. Where'd you get that ukulele? That's a really beautiful uke, yeah? And he said, I made it. And I said, you made it? And he said, yeah, I made it. I make ukuleles. I said, well, can I get one? Can I commission one? Like, can I? He said, oh, I don't really do it. I don't like the pressure. I just do it for love, and if I start taking orders from people, I'd have to. And I said, oh, okay, that's sweet. That's fine. That's okay. And anyway, a couple of months later, he sent me a picture and he said, do you like this wood? Isn't this wood beautiful? And it was chocolate mango wood. And I said, Bernie, that wood is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And he said, I'm making my 100th ukulele. And I said, oh, that's so fantastic. Good for you, man. And he said, and I want to make it for you. And I said, what? Are you kidding me? And he said, no, Dan, I just want to do it for you. And I said, that's amazing, right? Christmas Eve, 2018 into 19, I think it was. And my postman said, Dan, there's a box for you at the post office. You better go and get it because we'll be shut for 10 days or something. So I went up there, right? And there's a box there. And I said, what on earth is this? Who has sent me this Christmas present? I never get anything for Christmas, never. And I'll show you what was in there. Right? Look. And look at it. Look at the sound hole.
Oh.
And look at the headstock. Is that not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, ever? And best of all, listen to this. Bernie. And this little baby is called Sandy because it came from San Diego. This is called Sandy. And I play it all the time. I play it at gigs. It's such a beautiful, everyone comes to my house. It's hanging in the lounge room, pride of place. And everyone comes to my house. All the musicians who come around, first thing they do when they walk in is take Sandy off the wall and start playing it, right? And so I played it at someone's 50th birthday this week, right? And she apparently was this, like a crazy fan of a particular American musician. Not giving too much away, right? And I said, oh, oh, okay, I can play. I think I can play one of her songs. And the husband said to me, man, if you can play that, that would just be amazing. You know, so I played this song out of the blue on Friday night, and just this woman almost had a heart attack. It was just the most amazing thing. Anyway, I came home I got home like 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and I sat down on my lounge and I picked up this little ukulele. And the best thing about ukuleles is they make big songs little. You know, you can play, you know, don't stop believing, hold on to that feeling. You can play big songs and make them little. And I sat on the lounge and I played this song, and I thought to myself, that would be a perfect song to play for the American Pilgrims on the Camino, because, you know, I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. It's just like, that's the best song. Have a listen. I'm going to play it for you on the ukulele. Living with my eyes closed, going day to day. I never knew the difference, never cared anyway. Looking for a reason, searching for a sign, reaching out with both hands. Gotta feel the kick inside. I'm all fired up, all fired up, all fired up, all fired up. Ain't nobody living in a perfect world. Everybody out there trying to be heard. Ooh, now I got a new fire burning in my eyes, lighting up the darkness, moving like a meteorite. 'Cause I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. And I'm all fired up, I'm all fired up, I'm all fired up, all fired up. It's so great. Look. Makes big songs little.
Oh, you make it big. You make it big. Yeah.
Now listen, Tom, you know, there'll be people watching who don't know the story. Should I sing the song for you called Somewhere Along the Way?
Yeah. Now I should ask you, did you take that guitar with you on both Caminos?
No, just the second one.
Just the second one. Okay. So it was your
Yeah.
idea to do it on the second Camino.
Yeah. So I thought, well, you know, I would actually go along and sing for my supper like a real pilgrim would, you know. And so I had it on my back. So it's not very heavy. It's only little. It's what's called a parlor guitar. And I got the very first stamp, which I think you can kind of see right here at St. James's Cathedral in Sydney. And then the idea was to get all the stamps on it, which I did. I didn't really take a Compostela, rather a Credencial. I just took this and got them on there. And I was in Hontanis, and the lady, you can't see it now, it's all faded, and the hospitalera put the stamp on there and then was worried that it would rub off. So she put sticky tape over the top of it, like sellotape. So it came out, oh my gosh, there's all this plastic, all this. But it's the guitar itself is actually perishing. because I took it on the Camino. And
So Dan, did you take the guitar with the stamps into the pilgrim office to get your Compostela?
I did actually, yeah. And everyone was making a big fuss about it. You know, many of you would have met the Irish nun, yeah, the Irish nun who comes along and invites you to pray in the chapel. She comes along the line there, and she said that in all my years of being here, I've never seen anybody do that before. And I said, oh, that's fantastic, yeah. And yeah, it's lovely. It's a nice memento, and it's just people come up to me all the time because I play about, I don't know, 80 shows a year, and people come up to me all the time. What on earth have you done to that guitar? And I say, oh no, and then I tell them the story, and they're fascinated by it, the whole journey and the whole thing. Yeah, it's so lovely. And in the middle of nowhere, shall I tell the story, Tom?
Yes.
So I was in the middle of nowhere. I'm walking between Burgos and Hontanas, and there's that like real flat part of the Meseta there. And I was in the middle of nowhere, and my poles would click, 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 my feet. So it was like, and I was like, and I always sing when I walk, and I was just started singing this song. And the lines I was singing were little lines of things I'd seen. El Camino roses, the pink roses that's along the river in Logroño, and Santo Domingo crows. We've all known the story about the crow, the chicken in the church. Believe you can, you're halfway there, 7 bells to 4. Walked with a Belgian pilgrim, and I would say, what time you walk, how long you want to walk tomorrow? And he would say, 6 bells, like 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And I said to him one day, he goes, a big day tomorrow, 7 bells to 4. So he's going to walk from 7 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And I walked with another guy he was so angry all the time. He was angry. And even at the top of the Pyrenees, those horses with the beautiful big eyelashes, the big, like on the top of the Pyrenees, he walked over to them, and they like ran away. And I thought, that guy's even frightening off horses. I walked with 2 brothers from England and another guy from Denmark. And I used to say one had a lion's heart. The other had an opening heart. He just was such a beautiful person. He just didn't believe in himself, And the other had a soul as old as slate. Like he was this old soul, He just didn't believe it. And so all these little things that I had seen just were coming out of my mouth. I was walking, and then I came up. I started singing somewhere along the way. I hope you find what you're looking for somewhere along the way. And I thought, did I just make that up? And then I thought, you know what? I'll see if I can sing it again. And I sang it again, word for word. It was like I was channeling it. And then I thought, no, this guy must be singing this must be somebody else's song. So I thought I'll challenge myself to forget it. So I sang Annie's song by John Denver. You fill up my senses like a night in a forest. And I thought, that's it. I would have forgotten that song, that other Somewhere Along the Way song. And I didn't. It was there, every word of it. So I got to Hontanas, checked myself into the albergue, got the sticky tape on the guitar, walked up to the, I thought, I wonder if I can remember that song. And I wrote it all out on the back of a napkin, paper napkin, and I wrote it out word for word. And it got to number 8. It was number 8 in Australia. The album got to number 2 and spent 4 weeks at number 2 in Australia. And I've played it in America, and I've played it in Europe, and I've played it on the television and the radio, and I've been everywhere. And the best part about it is it's brought me to you today. This is called Somewhere Along the Way. Just sing along, sing along. All right. El Camino roses, Santo Domingo grows. Believe you can, you're halfway there. 7 bells to 4. Frighten off the horses, and also the way. Lion's heart and opening heart and a soul
play. Somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way, I hope you find what you're looking for. Somewhere along the way, cellos on a soundboard beneath a field of stars, love familiar growing, crossing fields of fire. Will you walk beside me? Will you lead the way? Your footsteps by the fountain carry me away. All right. Somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way, I hope you find what you're looking for. Somewhere along the way. How will I ever forget the Spanish sunrise, the Spanish sunset? El Peregrino Cantante, fullness of the moon, pressed beneath the arches, oh, and sunflowers in bloom. Words on parchment paper, fill an empty room. I hope this blessing, such as it is, finds you in full bloom. Somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way, I hope you find what you're looking for. Somewhere along the way, somewhere along the way, Buen Camino, somewhere along the way, I hope you find what you're looking for. Somewhere along the way.
It's a good party trick, Tom.
It's a great party trick. You know, you didn't get to see it because you were, again, Zooming at our celebration in July on the Feast of St. James. And you sang that song, and then I asked you to sing it. So everybody walked out singing the song. And then we walked from the St. Mary's campus to the Notre Dame campus, which was over a mile. And then we walked to the grotto. St. Mary, there was, you know, a picture of, it's a grotto in dedication to Lourdes, and it had a statue of Bernadette and a statue of Mary. And I do know that you did write a song about Mary, but I won't ask you to do that. I know you probably wanted to go out with this song, and that you have to go. But we all walked out of the auditorium that evening, and we all sang that song as you kept playing, and they sang it for minutes after they walked out, and they carried the song with them as we're walking on the path. And that was just awesome.
So great. Someone sent me a picture of the albergue, video of the albergue in Orson, and it was somebody saying, you know, oh, here we are in Orson, and you know, it's so great to be on our first night of the Camino and stuff. And they weren't sending it to me because, like, I saw it purely by chance. But after dinner, everyone was singing that song. The whole place, the whole full house, everyone's singing "Somewhere Along the Way," and that's just so great. That's just such a blessing. Oh my gosh. It's so fantastic. And as I say, Tom, you know, we probably wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for that song. And that very day, I've never told you this story, I don't think, but that very day, I finished writing the song on the back of the napkin. I didn't actually pick up the guitar and play it. I didn't, and I had the guitar sitting next to me, and everyone knows in Hontanas, there are those 2 or 3 cafes right side by side. Well, I was under the one with the little archway that goes up the hill, and I just put the guitar next to me, and this pilgrim walked past, and then she walked back again, and then she walked past again. Then she came back, and perhaps she's watching right now. I hope so. And she said, "Excuse me, are you Dan Mullins?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah." And she said, "I was just 10 minutes ago listening to your podcast, and you said, I'm going to walk the Camino and carry a guitar on my back." And I said, "Oh, wow." And she said, "Is that it?" And I said, yeah, this is it. Here it is. Yeah, you know. And she picked it up. She said, "That's just the best thing. I think that's such a lovely thing." And you know what it is? It's just been such a blessing. Such a blessing. And being with you all today is just so fantastic. Takes my breath away. You know, it's just so heartwarming and so special. And thank you so much, Tom, for having me, and everyone at the American Pilgrims of the Camino. And I'm hoping to get to America in 2022, do some shows over there, wander around, meet some people, and it's magic, Tom. It's magic.
It is magic.
Yeah.
It is
It's
magic.
fantastic.
Well, we are honored to have you perform here and share with us this evening. Thank you very much taking time out of your busy Sunday there in Australia. And you've been so generous with your time and your talents during the past few years to the American Pilgrims, and it's very much appreciated. Somebody said on chat that your song is on Spotify, and they can listen to it there. I always like to go to the website and Google your song, and you can watch the video that you put together. And it's a beautiful video where you sing the song. And that's another way to watch it.
Yeah, the video was made by Bill Bennett. Bill's an award-winning Australian movie director. He made 16 films in Hollywood with people like Sandra Bullock and Bill and his wife, beautiful wife, Jen. The three of us went across what we called our Moto Camino. We drove from Saint Jean all the way across to Murcia and Finisterre, and we shot the video. And I think it's been viewed like 80,000 times now, which is just amazing. So yeah, it's great. It's the gift that keeps giving, Tom.
And one more way that they can watch this, you performing this song, is that this Zoom has been recorded. So if you wish to share, anybody that was on this Zoom wish to share Annie and George and Yosmar and Dan, you can go to the American Pilgrims website and watch the entire Zoom session all over again. And we hope that you will join us at an event sometime in person soon, Dan. We hope that that can work out. And somewhere along the way there in Australia, I hope you find what you're looking for. If anybody deserves it, Dan, it's you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Thank you so much. From my warmest wishes from down under to all of you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being part of my life and my journey, my Camino. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're honored. You know, Dan, also, I should tell you that I'm in radio, and one of the things that I do is I work for an NPR station. And one of the things I do on a daily basis is write scripts on NPR for underwriters. And this came to me this evening because I've been asked not to do any type of a commercial for American Pilgrims during the Zoom. So I promised I wouldn't do it. But I do know that representing NPR, that messages that are written like this are not commercials. So I would say that support for this Zoom comes from the American Pilgrims on the Camino, that supports, informs, and gathers American pilgrims to inspire the spirit of the Camino across the global pilgrim community. And over $500,000 has been given to needy infrastructure nonprofits on the Camino to help your Caminos be more successful and comfortable. And if you would like more information about the American Pilgrims on the Camino, you can go to americanpilgrims.org. And with that, I'm going to ask Dave if we do have time to just have an open chat where we open up the room to everybody, or how we're doing with that. Dave, have you
Absolutely. And I'll turn off the Facebook live stream here shortly, and we can spend a little bit of time just talking to each other. I do want to say to Tom, thank you so much for coming up with this idea to have this open house. This was your brainchild. You've done an incredible job. And I would tell you, just as you go forward, keep having these dreams, because the celebration was your dream. This open house was your dream. Keep doing that, and we will keep working with you to make those dreams a reality, because they've created some incredible moments of pilgrim community for our group. So thank you so much for those ideas, and keep them coming.
Dave, ideas are nothing, and dreams are nothing. It's the Pilgrim Angels that make it come true. It's the Pilgrim Angels like Annie and Yosmar and George and Dan and Dave, you and Steve and the entire board, all the moderators for the Facebook, our chapter coordinators across the country, and our hospitaleros and everybody that joined us on Zoom here this evening. You're the Camino Angels that make all of this possible, to carry on that tradition. And as George was saying, we carry that on to inspire and make this world a better place. Thank you.
Well said, Tom. And